Welcome guys to the Meet Damien channel. I am Damien. Today's live stream we're going to be talking about Bitcoin. Bitcoin looking like it's still in a downtrend. We'll take a look at it on the daily chart here. But I mean we did have a nice recovery from the lows from this weekend. So we're kind of in like no man's territory with Bitcoin being close to $106,000 right now. But let me show you guys what I see in the charts here for Bitcoin, and then we'll start taking a look at some of the other cryptos here. Let me see if I can. I think the volume is a little bit too loud. Let me know if the volume is a little bit too loud. I can turn it down for you guys if it's too loud. In matter of fact, let me go ahead and do that real quick. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, there we go. That's better. All right. So yeah, Bitcoin currently at $106,000. Let me pull up a different chart that I don't have previous chart work on. But yeah, Bitcoin at $106,000 here. And what I see is, Bitcoin made a high back here on May 23rd, the all-time high at $112,000 Bitcoin. And then we had a lower high here, which I identified in previous live streams and saying that, this could possibly be a double top. And it could mean that we're due, if we can't go higher than here, then we're probably going to go to lower prices, which we did, okay? And now Bitcoin is still, flirting with being in a downtrend right now, okay? If I just connect some of these highs here, these candlewick highs, Bitcoin is flirting with it, okay? If we can get above this downtrend and stay above this downtrend in price here, then maybe we can say that Bitcoin has the possibility of creating at the very least a higher high than what it did back here on June 9th here when we saw $110,000 Bitcoin. Okay. What's leading me to believe that we could still be in a downtrend though is that we have been making lower lows and lower highs, and we still haven't made a higher high. Now, we actually need to get above this candle wick here on June 16th, where we saw Bitcoin as high as $108,990, almost close to $109,000. So we're not really out of the woods yet, in my opinion, until we get above $109,000 Bitcoin. It's nice to see that Bitcoin's climbing to $106,000. We've seen it as high as $106,300 earlier today. But we need more than just 2 good days. We had a really good day yesterday with the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market recovering. And we had a little bit of follow through today. Should have been better than this for me to get more excited. But yeah, it's better than having a red candle and going down in price, right? From what we did yesterday. So we are getting the follow through. That's good to see. Now, I do have an indicator here on the bottom. This is a money flow indicator. Just shows how much money is going into Bitcoin, at least on the daily time frame here. And you can see that there was plenty of money going into Bitcoin towards the end of April and even the beginning of May, middle of May. You see all this green. But now money flow is starting to come down here. Obviously, we made this lower high here in the beginning of June. And now we actually dipped into the red on the money flow on Saturday after the United States and Iran got into it with each other over the weekend. And we are getting a little bit of money flow coming back in. And that's probably because of what happened here on Monday here. But we need to start seeing this money flow flowing back in like it did back in late May and early May, and actually pretty much the whole month of May and late April. We need to see that money flow start coming back in again, or else we might be just going sideways at best, or maybe going down in this downtrend on Bitcoin. Like I said, I highlighted this downtrend here. It's something that we need to be looking out for. I'm ready to flip bullish and be even more bullish on Bitcoin if we can stay above that downtrend. And then I need to see us get above this candlewick high. I want to see $109,000 Bitcoin all over again. Basically, the all-time high from back in December of last year. That needs to be threatened again, and then we can get really excited for Bitcoin. Okay, but let me go ahead and throw on some other indicators here. We'll start digging deeper into Bitcoin, and then we'll take a look at some other altcoins. We'll probably look at Ethereum after this here. But yeah, let's go into some of the other indicators here. Daily time frame. As I've said in my previous live streams, Bitcoin has strong support in the mid-90s. If it does go down into the $90,000 area, we have the 200-day moving average, just redlined at $96,000. We have the 100-day moving average at $95,000, and we have the 50-day moving average at $96,000. So that should be the ultimate long-term support for Bitcoin. If it does continue in this downtrend, I think it's going to be tough for it to break through that. We also have some previous sideways price action here back in late April and early May, where Bitcoin was pretty much consolidating before it made another move up to higher prices here. We would like to think that this is one big giant consolidation before we move up to higher prices here on Bitcoin, but we'll see. You know, making lower highs, not a good start to going up to new all-time highs. You can't make a new all-time high if you're making lower highs. Simple as that. RSI for Bitcoin has cooled down. I don't see any divergences showing up here on the daily time frame. RSI is currently at 52.8. That's neutral territory. And then as far as the MACD goes, we have been having some selling pressure, which is why we've been making these lower prices, these lower lows and lower highs. But you can see that the selling pressure has died off the last couple of days here. We're starting to get some pink candles, so that's starting to lead me to believe that maybe, just maybe, we can get up to that $109,000 price area that I'm looking at for Bitcoin. Stochastic RSI, it has been lower. It's curving up, so I mean you could use this and trade off of that as to, like, okay, we are starting to get some bids here on Bitcoin. But like I said, on the money flow indicator that I showed in the previous about 5 minutes ago, money flow needs to start building up again, or else this is just going to be another lower high, and then we have to go down to lower prices again to possibly see Bitcoin get some more demand and some more support. All right, let me just quickly do a Fibonacci analysis here real quick. And with the Fibonacci, I'll be able to figure out where Bitcoin could go next, and what the possible new all-time high could be. So here we go with the Fibonacci analysis. Usually in a downtrend, Bitcoin should at least get a bounce back to the 618. 618 is currently sitting at 106,794. So I guess you should mark that on your charts. That if you're not as convinced as other people that Bitcoin is going to go to higher prices, then that might be your last opportunity to sell at a higher price. That would also be a lower high than the high back here on Monday, June 16th, and also the high back here on June 9th. I think you could put your sell limit orders, and if you want to short Bitcoin, you can start doing that around 106,700 or even 107,000 on Bitcoin, which is where the golden pocket is sitting at right now. Okay, but if Bitcoin is able to get past that golden pocket, then it has to get up to that 786. The 786 is at $109,000 Bitcoin, which is basically where this candle wick high on June 16th is. So that might be another opportunity to still sell Bitcoin lower than what this other significant lower high was showing here at $110,000 Bitcoin. But now you have to start wondering, should you be shorting Bitcoin? If it's able to push past the 786, we might start threatening to go past $112,000 and make a new all-time high. And if Bitcoin does make a new all-time high, we have a 1618 that says Bitcoin should start getting some selling pressure. People will probably click the sell button on Bitcoin when it gets to $120,000 Bitcoin here. Okay, so those are my upside targets for Bitcoin if it continues up in this uptrend that is trying to start right now. But if it continues in the downtrend, the downside targets, obviously ultimate downside target right now on the daily time frame is this 200-day moving average at $96,000. But we also have here the 0.236 could possibly come into play again here, where we could see $101,000 Bitcoin all over again, where this red area is sitting at $101,600 Bitcoin. All right, so I give you guys the upside and downside targets on Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum. And then if you guys have any requests, go ahead and put the requests in. I'll start taking requests and answering some questions here, do a Q&A towards the end. But yeah, let's take a look at Ethereum. I'm actually in a trade on Ethereum. I'm currently in Ethereum, literally at the price that it's currently trading at right now, $2,440. That's where I have some leveraged longs at. We did see, let me see, let me just go into it. We'll start with a daily time frame here, and then we'll work ourselves down to the 15-minute time frame here on Ethereum. But on Ethereum, I do have some previous chart work. I have some areas to mark off that I think are going to be significant resistance levels, basically on the 1 hour time frame and 2 hour and 4 hour time frame. So let's start zooming in on that right here. Okay, I still think, you know, if Bitcoin's going to do well, Ethereum's going to do well, and on the daily time frame, we should see Ethereum get back up to 2580. But let's zoom in onto the 4 hour chart. Okay, 4 hour chart, we do have the 200 moving average sitting at about roughly this level at 2556, 2550, around that area. So I highlighted that. I might have to adjust this just a little bit to 2550. But yeah, I think if you're day trading Ethereum, 2550 should be a good take profit target. I believe that's, let me see if I measure that out real quick here. From where we are right now at 2440 roughly to 2550, that's about a 4.68% move. You know, you can slap on some 5x leverage and that's a 20% move. You can slap on, you know, 10x leverage and that's about a 40% move. Okay, I think that's a good take profit target if you're day trading Ethereum like myself. Okay, also just looking at the 4 hour time frame, you can see that the 50 moving average, this green line, sitting at about 2527. So I marked that off here. I might have to just adjust that a little bit more. There we go, 2527. So those are take profit targets if Ethereum does get up to those price levels here, mainly because that's where the moving average resistance is. And if you're a day trader or a professional trader, you're eyeballing different time frames, especially the 4 hour time frame, and you're probably using the 50 moving average and the 200 moving average. So that's why I have those red lines there. But you can see if I go into the 2 hour time frame, you got another red line. I know I got a lot of red lines here, but yeah, you do have the 200 moving average currently sitting at about 2526. So that's actually my first take profit target on my Ethereum leverage long here. If I'm able to push the trade a little bit further, I might try to go for 2550 here. But I think that's a good take profit target for now. 2527 and 2550. Those two take profit targets. And then let's see here on the 1 hour time frame. 1 hour time frame, we did get above the 200 moving average. Almost all the moving averages are below us on the 1 hour time frame. And we're currently using that 200 moving average as support as of now. So that's good to see. We would want to see start catching some bids here and actually bounce off this 200 moving average on the 1 hour time frame. If we're not, then we could see Ethereum come down to maybe this 100-day moving average at 23.98, or we could see it come down to the 50 moving average at 23.39. Okay, so those are the moving averages that I am eyeballing. 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour, mainly the 200 moving averages. We already got past the 200 moving average on the 1 hour time frame. I think the next one that we got to see if we're going to continue being bullish, I want to see us get past this 200 moving average, or get up to the 200 moving average on the 2 hour time frame. But we have to get past this 1 hour, this 100 moving average on the 2 hour time frame, which already acted as resistance early in the day around 12 o'clock Eastern time here. I see we have Trade Intuition in the chat. Good to see you, buddy. Don't forget the like button if you guys haven't already. Appreciate you hitting that like button. Trade, if you Joe, if you have a chart request or a crypto you want me to take a look at while we're watching the live stream here, by all means go ahead and send me your requests here. Right now we just did Bitcoin. We're talking about Ethereum towards like the beginning of the live stream here. If you guys keep me busy, I'll keep on going longer here, but if it's going to be quiet today, then you know, I do have other things I need to do myself. All right, so let me get rid of those moving averages for now. Nice to see that Ethereum did recover out of the bottom here this weekend. But just like Bitcoin, right? Whether you're looking at the 2-hour, the 4-hour, we'll just look at the 4-hour for now. If you're looking at the price of Ethereum, it is still making lower highs, and we technically made lower lows this weekend, and it's looking very similar to what Bitcoin has done over the last few days here. So I do not like that. I do not like that. Okay. If I start connecting the highs here on Ethereum, the one bit of good news is that at least on the 4-hour time frame, you have broken past this downtrend on Ethereum. Maybe we might have to retest it to use it as support and then try to bounce off of that and go to higher prices here. But we don't know if we're going to get a fake out, because this could be just a little bit of a, you know, popping its head above the water, only for it to go back down and start drowning again. So we'll see. We'll see the next few days here. At least by tomorrow, maybe we'll see if on the 4-hour time frame, if we're still above this this downtrend on Ethereum. Wow, okay, that's a few requests there. Trade, you got you want to take a ZBCN, Grass, and Hype? I have done ZBCN a few times. Let me start with, I haven't looked at Grass. Maybe look at Grass, then I'll look at Hype, and then I'll look at ZBCN. Well, let me just finish up with some Fibonacci on Ethereum, and then we'll start looking at those other cryptos. All right, so just using some Fibonacci from the last significant high here down to what could possibly be the swing low here at $2,100 Ethereum. We do have some Fibonacci levels to be on the lookout for. Usually the price likes to revert back to anywhere between the 0.5 and the 0.65 retracement level. The golden pocket would actually be the 0.618 and 0.65. So if Ethereum is going to continue being bullish, it might actually get the rejection off of the 618 and the 65 at about $2,600 Ethereum. Okay. If it doesn't have that much juice in the tank, then we might actually get rejected when we get up to $2,500 Ethereum, which is the 0.5 retracement level here. Let me just go ahead and bring this to the forefront so I can see the numbers better. Oh, it is to the front. All right, whatever. I guess these red lines just really too bold. Yeah, so I foresee Ethereum getting at least a rejection either at the $2,500 or the $2,600 level, and then we'll just see how Ethereum reacts after that. If it gets it up to that $2,500 level, that could still be considered a lower high, but you are breaking the downtrend, so that's going to be a little bit confusing. Okay, but it would still be a lower high, and then we probably would have to adjust the lines a little bit on the downtrend, but I would still say if it's making lower highs, then it's still in the downtrend, right? Okay, but if Ethereum is able to push past the golden pocket, then we have the 0.786 retracement at $2,700 Ethereum. That could be a reasonable take profit target to get into, maybe a take profit target 2. And then of course you get the $2,800 level for Ethereum. And if Ethereum is able to push past $2,800, which it hasn't done in a while, okay, I think almost all throughout 2025 here, then we do have the 1618 that says we could see a $3,300 Ethereum sometime in the future here. Can't really put a time frame on that, but yeah, I mean Ethereum has been, you know, well, okay, I take it back. Ethereum has been in the $3,000 area back in January of 2025, but I don't know. We have to see some more money flowing into the space. And today was kind of a start, but we need to see better days than today, in my opinion. All right, let's move on to grass. I haven't looked at that crypto. That's the first time I think anybody's ever requested that on this channel here, Joe. Yeah, let's take a look at grass on Binance Exchange. Currently trading at $1.22. Obviously, I haven't done any chart work on this, so it looks like a naked chart for now. Wow. Okay. Looks like well, let me go in the daily time frame here. Just getting familiar with this chart. This thing has seen better days. Looks like it started trading on Binance Exchange November of 2024. That was like right during the peak of that little altcoin season that we had in late fall. And yeah, you made a double top here. So I'm just getting myself familiar with this chart here. See if it's acted accordingly with the rest of these cryptos here. But yeah, I mean, it just looks like just like a lot of the other altcoins out there. Maybe it didn't get as punished as badly as well, I take that back actually. This thing was as high as like $3, $4 almost in December of 2024. I got like a $3.89 high back in December 16th. And we're currently trading at $1.23, so I think that's about roughly a 70 or 80% drop. Man, wow, okay. What are you doing here? I remember most assets bottom out, including the stock market. They bottom out here in April. Some even bottom out a little bit earlier than that. Looks like this thing kind of bottom out here, or tried to bottom out in March of 2025 here. But it looks like you just made a lower low than what you did back here in March. Let's see. We have a candle wick here on February 3rd. This thing got as low as $1.49. I'm sorry, no, I take that back. This thing got as low as 90 cents on February 3rd, 2025. Okay. And then what's this low back here on Sunday? $1.06. $1.06 and $1 and oh sorry, 90 cents. So technically it's still a higher low. Believe it or not. I guess you could still be cautiously bullish on this asset here. But this thing has obviously been beat down. Maybe that's why you're a little bit interested in it, Joe. Maybe that's why you put a request in for it. I kind of want to see what this thing looks like on the VRVP here. You know, I'm gonna put on my VRVP with a money flow indicator just to get ideas like if money is actually going in. So on the bottom here, Joe, I got my money flow indicator here. Looks like you were in the green back in December as money was going into this. A little bit of red here in February. So February was obviously pretty rough for grass here. Then you had the green show up again in March and April. Some more back here in May. But the money flow is starting to die down. And that makes sense because the price is also looking like it's about to die as well. Okay. If this thing starts going red, then they're probably going to be making lower lows than what you did back in February. So I'd be very careful with this one. I would just put the stop loss, right? I put the stop loss right below that low here on Sunday. About $1. Okay. If you put out $1, I think you're risking about 20% on this asset. But you're risking 20% to see if this thing can at least get back up to the point of control. Point of control is at $1.61 currently right now on grass. Get the biggest high volume node at that area, so there should be some people ready to click the sell button on you when it gets to $1.60. Then the volume drops off, and then you got another high volume node here at like $1.90. So maybe some people might want to click the sell button before it gets to $2. But if it does get up to $2, the volume does drop off. And you got some more volume here at the value area high at $2.50. So yeah, I think those are your take profit targets. POC at $1.60. Then $1.90 as a second take profit target. Then you're going to see if you can push the trade a little bit further and do a take profit target 3 and see if you can get up to like $2.50. And I think that should be what you should be doing for a long here. Not financial advice, just my opinion. Just some guy on YouTube and TikTok looking at charts here. This is only for educational purposes. And sometimes I make a joke here, so this is also for entertainment as well. But this is not financial advice, but that's how I would game plan it if I was trying to long this asset. POC, $1.90, and $2.50 is where I would take my profits on this one. And then that, you know, we already said downside target is probably like $1 should be your stop loss, and if it goes to $1 or lower than that, probably don't want to stick around because you're gonna probably be in for a world of hurt as this thing tries to find out where the actual bottom is. All right, let's take a look at Hyperliquid. Let's see. Going on to crypto. I believe that's crypto. Yeah, Hype USD. Okay, we got Hype on Binance as well. Let's take a look at that. So we got Hyperliquid currently trading at $37.09. I got the VRVP and the money flow indicator on this one. Looks like there's not that much data, at least not on the daily time frame here. So I don't really have the money flow showing anything here. And I got the VRVP. VRVP is showing that POC is currently like kind of like right where we're at like 36 bucks, 37 bucks. If we lose the POC, it looks like you might have some support here at 35 bucks, and then you got even more support here at 34 bucks. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe there's some moving averages that might be showing some support at that area, but looks like people were buying. If they weren't buying the price where it is right now at the POC, looks like they were buying at 34 bucks. So that should be a good support area, in my opinion, for Hyperliquid. But this thing has gone to higher prices, and if it does go to higher prices, got a little bit of a volume node here at 39 bucks, but the value area high is probably what you should be eyeballing at like $40. So it looks like in between 39 and 40 bucks should be take profit on this asset, and I hope I got the right one. Let me know, Joe, if that's the right one that I'm looking at. But yeah, I don't think I ever looked at Hyperliquid, or if I did, I might have looked at it once, but I don't have any previous chart work on here. But this thing did get as high as about $45 on June 16th. That's interesting. I feel like Hyperliquid's been around for a while. Maybe it hasn't been traded on Binance. There might be more data, more data to look at on another exchange here. Yeah, let me try to see if I can find Hyperliquid on another exchange. Because I think because Hyperliquid is also another, they're an exchange themselves, right? They're a decentralized exchange. I think Binance might have held off on listing one of their competitors as one of the assets on their exchange. Sometimes they do that. Let's see if it's on Mexi. Oh yeah, look at that. Mexi has a lot more data. Jeez. So Mexi's Hyperliquid has been trading on Mexi ever since like December of 2024. So wow. Okay, now I got some information to work off. Looks like Binance was just a bad chart to look at. They just recently listed Hyperliquid. But now with this excess data that I got here, I mean, POC is actually, you know, if you take all the information going back to like December 2024, the POC is below us at 13 bucks. And the next significant high volume node, besides where you're at right now, it's going to be like right here at $25. So I think $25 should be a good support zone for Hyperliquid. And yeah, I have previous chart work here. I had a Fibonacci analysis on this thing already. Let me go ahead and get rid of the VRVP for now. Looks like I measured from the previous price action that we had back here in May when we were trading at $24, $25 on Hyperliquid. Looks like I measured from that level up to the high here at $45.84. Let me just adjust that a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so we're kind of in between the fib levels here, between the 0.5 and the 0.618 fib level. And I just, you know, if this thing is going to continue to remain bullish, then yeah, we should see us climb ourselves back up to the 786 retracement at $41.25. Now let me go ahead and I'm gonna throw in some moving averages on here, see if get some confluence here. Let's see. All right. So most of the moving averages are below us on Hyperliquid here. You got the 50 and the 100 sitting at about $24, $25. We already know that's a strong support area for this asset here. But you do have the 21 EMA, this white line, just sitting at $37.96, sitting at the 618. So I think the 618 is probably going to act as resistance for now. Maybe for like the next few days here, unless Bitcoin starts making new all-time highs. But I think you're going to be stuck here at 618 for a while until we can start treating this as a support area and start treating that 21 EMA as a support rather than a resistance. But there's a possibility that this could get rejected and you could come down to the 0.5 or the 0.382. You could see $32 Hyperliquid all over again, especially if Bitcoin's putting in a lower high instead of making a new all-time high. All right, I think that's enough for Hyperliquid there. Unless you want to take a look at the MACD. Let's see what the MACD says real quick here. Are you getting some green candles? Show me some green here, or at least show me some potential here. On the daily time frame, your selling pressure is dying down. You want to see that selling pressure continue dying down and eventually get some green candles. This could just confirm to you that this might have been the low that got put in, and this thing might actually continue past the 0.618 and actually might try to go to that 0.786 retracement at 41 bucks, and then you'll start seeing some green candles showing up on the MACD. All right, so I like looking at the MACD just to confirm that I actually got in at near the lows for whatever time frame that I'm looking at. In this case, it's the daily time frame. It looks like the lows have been made about a few days ago so far, because the selling pressure is indicating that it's enough to this could possibly be just the low that was made, and it would be, I believe, a higher low on the daily time frame. All right, let's take a look at the ZBCM. And let me make sure I'm not forgetting my TikTok streamers, guys. I'm streaming on TikTok and YouTube as well. And if you guys have a request, go ahead and put that request in. Somebody just says there's no voice. Let me see if I can fix that. Nasir, can you hear me now? Because I think my phone was connected to my headphones there, and maybe that's why you didn't hear my voice. But yeah, if you guys have a request, go ahead and put a request in. Thank you for letting me know about that no voice. And I think I forgot to disconnect my headphones. That's the case. But you should be able to hear me now. If not, just let me know. I might have to make some more adjustments here. Alright, so we're looking at ZBCN on the daily time frame here. Let me get rid of some of these indicators for now. Looking at ZBCN, currently trading at 0.0041 cents, down 2.5% today. And I think I see why, Joe, you might be slightly interested in this this asset if you're trying to enter along here, because we have come down from the highs back here in June 2nd. We saw this thing as high as 0.0070 pennies. But the concerning thing about this is that you are making lower highs, and you are making lower lows, but this could still just be a higher low compared to some of the lows that it made previously. Like I would like to see us at least stay above this impulse candle that we had here on May 24th. We have the low here at 2.0028 pennies. So let me just mark that off on this chart here. Let's try to stay above here. Okay? Let's not try to go lower than that. Because then it's getting hard to justify that you're actually in an uptrend if you're making a lower low than where you were on this impulse candle here. So I think 0.00028 pennies, let's stay above that if we can, so we can say that we're making higher lows here. Maybe I might have to go into like a 5-day or a weekly chart to better understand where the higher low might be. Let's look at the weekly chart here. Alright, so it's a little bit more pronounced here on the weekly chart. You can still say that you're making a higher low, but like once you get down to like this area, like especially like right here on the impulse candle, if you're getting down to like 0.0018 pennies, it's really hard to say that you're in an uptrend. Alright, that you're actually making a higher low. And then yeah, the last higher low on the weekly chart would technically be 0.0014 pennies. But do you really want to push it down that far and then say, yeah, we're still in an uptrend? That would be pretty brutal, because you would lose almost like, you would lose definitely 50% of whatever you have in it right now if it gets down to that area. So that's something to take into consideration here. Oh, Trade, you like how I do my top-down analysis. Appreciate the compliment there. Alright, so yeah, we're looking at the weekly time frame for ZBCN. We can start zooming in a little bit here. Into the daily time frame, let's see. Interesting enough, I have a level here that I marked off with previous chart work. I think that's because I saw some candle body closes in this area. I think I might have to adjust that just a little bit. Looks more like right over here, but yeah. I think I was trying to identify the candle body closes as a possible take profit target on this asset. But let's go ahead and do a Fibonacci analysis to see what we can come up with here. Boom, boom. I'll take it down to the impulse candle back here. And we do have a 618 at 0.0051 pennies. And a 0.65, this is the golden pocket. I would at least expect this thing to try to climb back to the golden pocket before it gets rejected. But it could get rejected, only making it up to the 0.5 level at 0.0045 pennies. Looks like we kind of almost tested that here on yesterday, on Monday. So we kind of almost got rejected off of that 0.5 level right now. Can we use the 0.382? I have to move this a little bit. I don't know if you can see the numbers there. But can we get to the 0.382 level, use that as support to try to retest that 0.5 level one more time, get up to the golden pocket, and then I would expect the golden pocket would be a most likely area of rejection. But that doesn't have to be the case, because we could just keep on pushing forward to the 0.786 level here at 0.006 pennies. And I think that's what I also had, why I had this red line here. That red line is also confluent with the 0.786 retracement level. So I think 0.006 pennies should be your take profit target. And if this thing is going to continue being bullish, then yeah, maybe we go back up to 0.007 pennies all over again. But I think we would have to see Bitcoin making new all-time highs in order for this asset to get the momentum and the blessings of going back to where it was here in the beginning of June, end of May here. So that's my Fibonacci analysis there on ZBCN. If ZBCN continues going lower, I mean, it looks like we already tested the 0.236 level here at 0.0032 pennies. So this thing has hit almost all the fib levels for the most part, right? On its way down, we came down to the 786 retracement, but we lost that. Looks like we tried to Peter Pan between the 0.5 and the 618 before we lost those levels as well. Then we came down to the 0.382. 0.382 was holding off pretty well here, but then we lost that level, and then we came down to the 0.236 on Sunday. So we hit almost all these fib levels here. And looks like we are getting bounces off of them. We are respecting the TA within the Fibonacci levels here. Now you just want to see, can we use the 0.236 as support? And can we use the 0.382 as support and just go to higher prices? And then you want to be selling somewhere between the 618 and the 786 here. In my opinion. If you're swing trading this or day trading it. Alright. That's the ZBCN. And I see some people have hit the like. Appreciate you, D2 Miami, for hitting the like on the live stream. Thank you. Thank you. If you have a request, you can probably put a request in. Looks like I know I've been going live at different time slots here and there, so I think people are still trying to figure out when exactly I do go live. I usually go live anywhere in the afternoon between 12 and 2 p.m. and if you don't catch me in the early afternoon, then maybe you might see me going live around this time, around like 5 or 6 p.m. Eastern time. On Mondays, sometimes I do a late night stream from like 8 p.m. Eastern time to like 10 p.m. That's usually my live schedule for those who are trying to figure out when does this guy go live. But if you guys want to figure out when I'm going to live, or you're not sure when I'm going to live and you want to keep tabs as to when I will, then you should check out the Meet Damien Twitter page here, where you'll see me post up my live streams when I go live. Like today, I just said I'm going live at 6 p.m. Then here I was yesterday. Then here I was June 19th saying I'm going live at 1:30. So you can see my my live streams, and then also my videos. When I make a standalone video, I'll post it up on here on Twitter as well. But yeah, check out the Meet Damien Twitter handle, Meet Damien21, all one word. But yeah, that's my Twitter handle. All right. Let's see how Ethereum's doing. Let me get back into my Ethereum, because I am in an Ethereum long, and this thing is kind of like losing its momentum and doing what it was doing like the last couple of weeks, which is going sideways, not really doing much. Let's go into the 15-minute time frame for Ethereum. Now we're like doing day trading time frames here. And with Ethereum, right? I did go long last night, but didn't really do much. Okay, we did, we did see here on in the morning time frame, we did see Ethereum get up to like 2450. But I wasn't awake to actually click the sell button on that. I was still in the trade. And then I seen this thing climb up. And then we got the bids coming in when Wall Street starts their showing up, into the office, is when they start clicking the buy buttons. And that has sent Ethereum up to higher prices here. Ethereum does get money from Wall Street from the Ethereum ETFs that are out there. So I have noticed that phenomenon for like the past year now. It's been almost a year since Ethereum has had an ETF. But yeah, it seems like Wall Street was able to push this thing up to 2483. Let me just get rid of the moving averages for now. But I think that was like when we were getting overbought. So yeah, on the 15-minute time frame, we were overbought on Ethereum. You can see it right here. Anytime you're above 70 on the RSI, you're overbought, overheated, time to cool down, and it did cool down. And it cooled down, and I was worried that this thing was going to just go to lower prices and just totally negate all the progress that we made. But we actually bottomed out here around like 3:45 Eastern time, or like 2418. And I actually I put my stop loss at like 2416, so I almost got stopped out right over here out of the trade, but I'm still able to stay in the trade here. My stop loss is still at 2416. Now that I know that is an area that got respected. But yeah, can I stay in the trade? That's what I want to know. Let's look at the MACD real quick. MACD. The selling pressure was dying down around like 4 o'clock in the afternoon here. And then it just stayed just ugly. We didn't get the MACD flip. Would be nice if we got the if we had the MACD flip. This thing probably could be at like 2460 or 2480 on the 15-minute time frame here. But I think that 2453 level is acting as the resistance for now. And that's because if I go back, I think if I was on the 1 hour time frame, that's where the 200 MA was sitting at. Or yeah, the 200 MA. Yeah, earlier on Monday it was around that time, but let's see. I'm trying to figure out why I have 2453 there. Maybe it might have been the 2 hour time frame. Yeah, I don't know. I might have to get rid of this. I know this is not showing up on the chart anymore. 2453. But looking on the 1 hour time frame, you do see that Ethereum did respect this 100 moving average as resistance at 12 o'clock in the afternoon here. And I'm not liking this on the 1 hour. This is showing that the buying pressure is dying down. You had green candles on the MACD, but now you're getting light green candles on the 1 hour time frame for Ethereum. This is leading me to believe that maybe we might get one more push up and get rejected by the 100 moving average one more time and then start coming down. Unless we get a nice solid green candle here on the MACD on the 2 hour time frame here, then you know what? I can do a little bit of trend analysis using the MACD. If I just extend this and we continue on this trend, looks like we're gonna get a MACD flip tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning we might actually see Ethereum at the lowest prices, which makes sense. Tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Eastern time. That's usually right before Wall Street is able to show up to the office. That's when most people are sleeping or just waking up and they haven't looked at the charts yet to click the buy button. So that's probably going to be the lowest prices for Ethereum if we do get a low here. I mean, we can still charge up and go and get rejected at the 100 moving average, which I'm expecting to happen as we continue this uptrend on Ethereum. But I think the rejection is going to happen right over there. We might create a double top on this 2 hour time frame, and then we come down, and then that, you know, MACD, that MACD flip starts happening sometime tomorrow morning, or even later on tonight. So, that's unfortunate. Because I thought this Ethereum trade, I thought I could at least keep pushing it up a little bit higher. When I'm in an Ethereum trade, I like to keep my stop loss about $20 or more. But at the very least, I like to keep it under $20 from the current price. So right now we're at $24.43. I wouldn't move my stop loss any higher than $24.20. Okay. Right now my stop loss is at $24.16, so that's pretty much, I don't really need to move it up another $4. But if Ethereum goes up $20 from here, I can move that stop loss up to $24.40. And I just feel like that gives me enough breathing room on my stop loss where I don't get stopped out, but I can keep pushing the trade further to higher prices. Hey Joe, I'm a little bit curious. When you're trading Ethereum, where do you normally put your stop losses? Most of the time, I keep it below the 200 moving average on the 5-minute time frame. Let's see what that looks like right now. On the 5-minute time frame for Ethereum, the 200 moving average is sitting at 24.29. So my stop loss is below that 200 moving average on the 5-minute time frame for Ethereum. This thing could, out of nowhere, just come right down to that red line. And if your stop loss is that tight, you'll get stopped out. Okay? But with me being about $20 below the price, my stop loss is actually somewhere like around here. If we lose that 200 moving average, then it probably means, you know, we're about to lose the uptrend here on Ethereum. So I don't want to continue taking more losses. I'm okay with getting stopped out if it actually goes below the 200 moving average and actually hits my stop loss. Let's see what the 1 minute time frame looks like. 1 minute time frame on Ethereum. 1 minute time frame is 200 moving average is at 2440, right? Kind of like right where we're at right now. We are above the 200 moving average. We're above some of the moving averages here, but it's been sloppy like all throughout this afternoon here. We've been below it, above it, below it, above it. Not really getting much direction here on the 1 minute time frame. Let's go into the 15-minute time frame. Yeah, 15-minute time frame. That 200 moving average is right down here at 2340. That's why when I'm day trading, I'll stick to the 5 and the 1 minute time frame, and I'll use those moving averages, the 200 moving average, and I'll just keep my stop loss right below the 200 moving average on the 5 minute time frame. And that keeps me safe. That allows me to keep my stop loss tight, but not too tight. Alright, so let's see what Joe has to say. Joe's saying depending upon how long you are in the trade, right now you're mainly entered on the 1 hour, sometimes the 15 minute, but you place your stop loss under support wicks or areas of more support. Yeah, sometimes I do support. I'll put it down below a wick, especially if I'm just getting into a trade. But what I noticed with putting your stop loss right below the wick on some of these time frames is that you're not the only person that did that. There are other people that put their stop loss below a wick. Like, let's look at this on the 5 minute time frame. Let's say you literally, let's just say you're bullish on Ethereum and you don't have a position in it yet, and you're over here thinking, oh, I'm just gonna put my stop loss below this wick here, right, on the 5 minute time frame, and you see this wick right here got as low as 24.35, and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna put the stop loss at 24.30. Okay, right below the wick. Well, there's other people that put their stop losses here, and what ends up happening is if the price starts creeping down towards that wick, you know, you might get some people that will start clicking the sell button, and then once we get into all those people that put their stop losses below the wick, it might just, you know, start doing a beeline right towards your stop loss, and then you get stopped out, and then you get a bounce back up to higher prices. I mean, I know we're looking at the 5 minute time frame, and you said the 15 minute time frame, but one of the beauties of using the 200 moving average on the 5 minute time frame is that the 200 moving average on the 5 minute time frame is already tight as it is. But if the price respects the moving average for the most part, which it has been doing, it's not going to go below it unless it's changing trend, from what I've noticed in my experience. So in this case, we kind of did a peekaboo here around 345, but that was it. You know, if your stop loss was like, I think that's what happened. My stop loss was like right over here, and we almost hit my stop loss, but it didn't get hit. Okay, even though we went below the 200 moving average, I was like $1 or $2 away from getting hit, and I still didn't get hit on my stop loss. So yeah, I think putting it below the 200 moving average is good for the most part. And then sometimes you have to have a little bit of leeway, because you do get these little peekaboos like, hey, any stop losses here? And then they send it back up again. So that's how I view stop losses. Now, if I do the 15-minute time frame like you mentioned, Joe, you know, I can't really use the 200 moving average, because if I use the 200 moving average on the 15-minute time frame for Ethereum, I would have to put my stop loss at like $2,300. And You know, that's like $100 move. That's almost like, that's like a 5% move on Ethereum. And if you're using any leverage, you're gonna get blown out. You're gonna lose a good amount of money, in my opinion, right? Let me just measure this out here. Yeah, if I go down to the 200 moving average on the 50-minute time frame, then I would lose 4% multiply whatever leverage I was using. So I can't do that on the 15-minute time frame. That little strategy that I just told you, I would not be putting my stop loss below the 15-minute 200 moving average. I would probably have to do what you do in that case. I would have to look at the candle wicks on the 15-minute time frame, and I'd be like, oh, okay. Maybe I put it below this candle wick here. All right, from like early on this morning at 4:15 Eastern time, I put the stop loss at 23.75. I actually think I had my stop loss on Ethereum at 23.75 earlier in the day before I moved it up again. But yeah, I've been walking my stop loss on Ethereum all throughout the day, just trying to ride this move up. But yeah, I would probably put the, you know, if I was trading Ethereum in the morning and getting into Ethereum for the very first time on a long, I would have looked at this candle wick on the 15-minute time frame, which I think is what you do, and I would probably put the stop loss right below that at like 23.75, and just hope that I don't get stopped out. So that is one way to do it if you're using the 15-minute time frame. That makes sense. Yeah, it is difficult to trade because of the chop. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, if you go on my Discord, you could show me where you put your stop loss and why you did it and what your thought process was at the time. That'd be pretty cool to look at. But yeah, usually, like I said, I usually when I day trade, I look at the 15-minute time frame as like my bird's eye view. And then I go into the microscope, I look at the chart a little bit closer on the 5-minute time frame. And when I'm day trading, I like using the 200 moving average on the 5-minute time frame. I like putting my stop loss below it. And if I'm just getting in, maybe I put it a little bit lower. But as the price, if the price continues to go up and to the right, I'll walk the stop loss to higher prices, but I'll always keep it below that 200 moving average, because, you know, if we respect the 200 moving average, then I'll never get stopped out unless the trend is reversing to the downtrend. Then that changes things. Then I actually do want to get stopped out. If we're going to be going down instead of going up, I want to get stopped out somewhere near the 200 moving average on the 5-minute time frame. Oh boy, and as I say that, look what's happening. Looks like we're about to try to see if what Damien's made out of here, and see if we're gonna see if they're gonna probably try to come for my stop loss. Right now, the 200 moving average is at 24.29, so if they stay above it, I'll still be safe. But if they go below this 200 moving average and they take it down to 24.16, I'm gonna get stopped out. I'm gonna get stopped out. Looks like we have a pretty quiet crowd today. I'm actually okay with that, because I was gonna plan on making this live stream short anyways if I'm not getting a lively crowd out there. I appreciate the people that did show up to the live stream and hit that like button. I appreciate Joe coming in and giving me these requests for those cryptos he wanted to look at. I guess I'm going to be on the lookout for your screenshot there and where you put the stop loss on Ethereum. But yeah, I think I'm going to end the live stream here. We'll look at Bitcoin one last time. We'll start from the smaller time frames and work our way up. Looks like Bitcoin on the 5-minute time frame It's clearly above its 200 moving average. Let's look at the 1 minute time frame. Oh, we are playing around with it on the 1 minute time frame here. Looks like we just got bounced off of the 1 minute time on the 200 moving average on the 1 minute time frame. So yeah, I normally don't play things that close on my day trading. I like to stick to the 5 minute time frame and keeping the stop loss below the 200 on the 5 minute time frame. So yeah, if I was in a Bitcoin trade, I have my stop loss at maybe like 105,400 bucks. I usually keep my stop loss about what I noticed with Bitcoin and the prices that it's trading at. I usually keep my stop loss at least $500 below where Bitcoin's trading at. Most of the time, I keep it like $1,000 lower, and if there's a lot of volatility, I'll keep my stop loss at $2,000 below where Bitcoin's trading at. And I'll use a very small position so I don't lose too much money. I'll use like small leverage, small margin. But normally, you know, if I'm doing pretty well in my Bitcoin trade and I'm pushing the price up, I'll keep the stop loss about $500 below the current price of Bitcoin. So that makes sense, you know, on the 5 minute time frame. The 200 moving average is about $500 below where Bitcoin is currently trading at right now. Now zooming into the 50-minute time frame. Let's see, 50-minute time frame. I think it's steady as it goes. I think Bitcoin wants to continue going up to higher prices. I think we can see Bitcoin, you know, probably climb up to this $107,000. Maybe $108,000 level that we talked about earlier in the live stream before we get a rejection. Let's go into the 1 hour time frame now. Nice to see Bitcoin finally above the 200 moving average on the 1 hour time frame. Go to the 2 hour time frame. And we just got above the 200 moving average on the 2 hour time frame as well. 4 hour time frame. We're trying to get above the 200 moving average on the 4 hour time frame. 8 hour? So because there's a lot of moving averages, the 200 moving average on multiple time frames is kind of like at the same price where we're at right now. I'm expecting Bitcoin to probably go sideways for now, right? Because look at on the 1 hour time frame we just got above it. On the 2 hour we just got above it. On the 4 hour time frame, we're trying to get above the 200 moving average. On the 8 hour time frame, we're trying to get above the 50 moving average as resistance. So I think once we can show to the rest of the world that we can stay at $106,000, then yeah, 107, 108, 109 are the next take profit targets for Bitcoin. And it looks like, yeah, we got to get above what we did here on Friday on this candle wick here. 106,553. Yeah. I think Bitcoin has another $500-600 to go before it's decision time. Are we going to reject or are we going to push through it? And then, of course, we got to get above this $107,000 level, which I highlighted already. And then the candle wick here, $109,000 Monday, June 16th. And we'll just see. We'll just take it one support and resistance level at a time. Right now, we're trying to get through resistance at $106,500 Bitcoin. Get past that, and then we got to move towards basically almost $108,000. All right, that's gonna be it for me today, guys. Appreciate John you coming into the live stream, but I'm actually gonna end this live stream right now because I was planning on going on for at least an hour if there wasn't going to be that many requests, and there hasn't been that many requests. I would have done 2 hours if there was more requests, but it looks like people being quiet for today. And I understand that I've been going live at different time slots here, but it's just, you know, whenever I can is when I go live. I usually go live anywhere between 12 p.m. to like 6 p.m. And I either do early time slot, early in the afternoon, and then do what I need to do for that day, or I do what I needed to do for that day, and then I do the live stream at like 6 p.m. like I did today. But yeah, that's when you can catch me on these live streams here. All right, I look forward to it. Thanks, Joe, for posting in the Discord. I'm gonna have to check that out. Actually, you know what? I'll check that out right now if I can. Let's see, Discord. I'm on Porky's Discord right now. Oh, this Trade Intuition's stop loss. Ethereum stop loss placement, depending on how long I would like to hold. A 1 to 3 week hold, a 3 to 5 day hold, a 1 to 3 day hold, a scalp trade might go 2 to 3 days. Alright, interesting. I'll have to look at this later. Thanks for posting in the Discord. And guys, if you want to join me on the Discord, my Discord's free. The link is in the description for the YouTube video here. And for my TikTok guys, just, you know, send me a message and I'll just send you the link so you can join the Discord. Okay? Alright guys, take care. I'll see you on the next live stream.